The John Lebang Show has been known to make people laugh, sing, think, scream, throw things in rage, and generally lose their minds. Listener discretion is advised. Greetings, Earthlings, and alert the media. This week's second hour of the John Lebang Show is headed your way. Another 60 minutes of sonic vibrations are tantalizing your brain cells as we speak, getting them ready to accept the information we're going to bring you. And there's a little bit of information out there, folks. We've come back from the break and a lot of things happened throughout the summer. But those are already things that have passed, and we're dealing with, well, you know, the mainstream news cycle. And right now, what's it talking about? It's talking about, the big hurricane, Irma. She's attacking Florida. I don't know what Florida did to Irma, but she's attacking it. You know, some days when you get that chick there and she's in a bad mood, maybe it's that time of the month, they have a conniption, and Irma is having a conniption all over Florida, or at least on the west coast of Florida. And the interesting thing about that is 5-6 days ago, or at least when they were tracking her into Florida, most of the U.S.-based weather trackers had her hitting the East Coast and kind of heading up that way. And they weren't even talking about the European tracker who had it hitting the West Coast. And it looks like the Europeans were right about that. Maybe the mainstream manufactured news wants to make themselves look good. You know, wasn't the hype for this incredible? They had everybody hyped up. They made sure everybody escaped, got out of there. Get them out of there. Because the one in Texas was so bad that they had everybody paranoid about this. For a while there, they were talking Cat 5, biggest one, blah, blah, blah. Then it went down to a Cat 3 after it ran through a few islands there, and it's picking up steam back to Cat 4. Most people don't know what those are. The bigger cat it is, the worse it is. I mean, if it's like the jungle, if you're out and you see a little cat, a Cat 1, you're not really going to worry too much. You might bite your ankles or something. But if you find a Cat 5 like a lion or a panther or a cougar, you're in big trouble. So those people who don't understand the difference between Cat 1 and Cat 5, I gave you the Dummies 101 version of it. Just think of it as a cat, a bit, different sizes of cat. And if you're dealing with the Cat 1, it's like the one you have at home, the little domesticated one that poops in the little poop thing over there with the cat litter, You get a Cat 5, it's like a lion or a cheetah, something. Cat 2 or 3 is like a cat woman, You don't want to piss off anything after even. You know what? You don't want to piss off a Cat 1 because the Cat 1 can do some stuff. I had a few house cats when I was growing up. Man, you try to take them to the vet. If you didn't put them in a cage of some sort, they'd chew your ankles off while you were driving. Little old cat. Vicious. That's why I don't own cats. And everybody's running from the cat Irma. Cat 4, Cat 5. We'll find out after how bad it was. But they did an interesting thing, and they really got people out a lot earlier than they did in Texas. And now some of the videos that you're seeing, some guy's using a drone, he's flying a drone around the city. It's like a ghost town, right? Well, that gives the people who've been left behind and the people who are watching the people who are left behind, because I guess they have a curfew at 4 p.m. That's a pretty early curfew. But they're expecting a lot of devastation from this cat. And I know I was making a little bit of humor as I was talking about the cats and all that. But what else are you supposed to do? There's nothing you can do about a giant hurricane. This thing is moving right along, and it's going to do what it wants to do. And you either get out of there. I mean, I got into an argument with a family member of mine over this. You either get out before everybody else gets out. When you see it's tracking weeks ago or 10 days ago when they started talking about this, when you see that, you plan on getting out. You don't wait till everybody else in the world is trying to get out. When they say, get the hell out. When the government tells you to get out, you're probably too late. And if you're going to get out then you better wait till the herd is gone, because it's going to be like a stampede, just like it was in The Lion King. And if you're Mufasa, you're going to get run over. So if you're going to evacuate a situation like this, you've got to do it before the herd goes, or you wait till after the herd has gone, like 4 or 5 hours before the damn thing hits. The Irma, she's a bitch, man. That's what I'm hearing. There's going to be a lot of damage. You're hearing people catastrophic for the U.S. and no, it's catastrophic for Florida. I know it's like the third most populated state, but still, I mean, Florida is going to be devastated, just like parts of Texas were devastated. But isn't that what insurance is for? I mean, we pay so much money into insurance every year, and the people who aren't insured, we got to. I toss around, what do you do with those people, right? Do you just give them free money, or do you give them loans? Do you get them whatever? Because if you're not smart enough to insure your home, especially, because you don't have to if you're in some random state that doesn't have a lot of crazy weather, but if you're in Hurricane Alley, you think you'd have hurricane insurance and all that, and that way you've been covered once the 1 or 2 hurricanes that come in every 10 or 11 years. I know there's hurricanes every year, folks, but they don't have these giant ones, but every 10 or 11 or 12 years. They come in, they do a lot of damage. We saw it with Katrina. That's what happens, right? And the H-I-J and K ones are actually, I think you can miss the J. J's a good letter, right? But H-I-J's, K, I mean, skip the J. Those are some evil hurricanes. And we might want to skip those letters in the future. But we've been hearing about, now to get on to some other subjects that relate to the hurricane, we've heard from many people that it's America's fault for getting hit. We've elected Donald Trump, and that's why we're getting hit. Texas got hit because they voted for Trump. Florida is getting hit, and it's all Trump's fault. And I'm trying to understand their logic, because if you're speaking that God is bearing down on the planet or the country because we elected Donald Trump, I don't know if I can go with you on that one. But if you're talking maybe the elites of the world who didn't particularly like Donald Trump, maybe they're using some weather modification to enhance these hurricanes, to direct them. You think it's crazy, right? You think that's out of this world crazy stuff I'm talking about, but it's not. We have news right out of China that they're going to have the Olympics in China. I'm not sure if you knew that. But China, you know what they're going to do? And they did it last time, but they're going to do it this time. They're going to modify the weather so that the opening ceremonies, there won't be any rain. And if there's too much pollution going on, they're going to make it rain. And you think that's crazy, but it's not. It is a fact of life now in the 21st century that governments can change their weather, modify their weather would be probably a better term. And you see these things happening all the time. Yet you don't know it's happening because you rarely look up anymore. You're too busy with your cell phone. You're too busy with the day-to-day doldrums that you don't ever take the time to look up and see that the sky is not the same as it was when you were younger. There are lines always over the sky. You'd have a beautiful clear day, and then all of a sudden a bunch of planes fly across, and now you have clouds. And a lot of people are like, well, they had those contrails way back in the day, but this is different than the contrails. We've discussed it many times. And these people who are blaming the U.S. or saying the U.S. deserves to be striked, or the earth is paying them back, or God's paying them back, I can't go with you that way, because it just doesn't work for me. All right, I'm not the wrath of God days. Maybe I'm wrong. But the wrath of God days happened back in the Noah times, if you believe that. And you could say any random storm is an act of God, sure. And maybe that's the wrath of God. Last year, God got so mad at me, for whatever reason, he ripped down my apple tree. You could say that. I don't know if I believe it. But if you're going to say it's possible, because we have enemies in this world, hidden enemies, not just the North Koreas, not just the problems we have with Russia and Iran and these terrorist groups, but there are hidden enemies of the United States. And maybe they didn't like the Donald Trump choice that somehow made it through. I still can't figure out how Trump made it through. The media was totally wrong. But maybe some of the hidden forces didn't like Donald Trump. Maybe they didn't want Donald Trump to be in office, and maybe that's why we're getting hit with these hurricanes, is they're manipulating the weather in a certain way. I'm not saying they are, because there is a cycle to hurricanes, and the big ones come every 10 or 11 or 12 years. We get a big one. You know, they were talking about, this is going to be the biggest one in recorded history. I'm like, well, how long is that? 200 years? Recorded history as far as weather is concerned. We haven't been doing it for a little over 200 years. That's funny, too, because everybody will think that's millions of years old, right? They'll be like, this is the biggest one, and it's, because they don't think. Yet, when they deal with their own history and political things and all that, they can't see past the day they were born. Before that doesn't matter. Or just a little bit before that doesn't matter. So I'm really perplexed at times how people jump to these conclusions. You get the climate change freakos. It's climate change. You heard that? Climate change is doing this. Well, why didn't we have any hurricanes or any big ones or any monster ones the last 3 or 4 or 5 years? It's been fairly quiet on the hurricane front. Nothing huge, nothing monstrous. I heard Bernie Sanders pull that out. And I'm like, Bernie, you're a crazy old man. And that's what the whole government seems to be made up of. Crazy old men, whack job women, and then a bunch of spineless people who you elect into power to take out the criminal behavior that is going on by the old timers. You got the Republicans just sitting on their hands there, doing nothing, getting nothing done. All the time during Obama, they whined and moaned and, couldn't get nothing done because of Obama. They'd pass this and that, can't get anything done. And now anything that they were elected on, anything Donald Trump promised in his campaign. None of that can get done. Even DACA, and we'll talk about that a little later. DACA, he repeals it. Woo! But they're talking, he's kicking it down the road 6 months. Congress got to do something, or else I'm going to revisit it in 6 months. Anyways, folks, we've run up against our first break this hour. Zoom, just like that, first segment, flying on by just like a hurricane.
Hey, you. Yeah, you. Listening there. Don't go anywhere. The John Lebang Show is going to be right back. Just ask the hillbilly.
That's right. Right after this.
What about me?
Maybe next time.
If you are elderly, disabled, receiving SSI or Medicaid, and you have a medical need or require assistance with daily housework, shopping, grooming, medication, you may qualify for housekeeping at no cost. Call now. VIP Home Healthcare, 248-579-3805. VIP Home Healthcare, there when you need them. That's 248-579-3805. Check out the new book from Derek Shelmerdine,
Rock and Roll Unraveled.
It tells the story of rock and roll from its roots right up until the mid-70s punk.
Rock and Roll Unraveled.
Not just the music, but also the events that shaped the music.
Rock and Roll Unraveled.
It includes the backgrounds to recording sessions, singles, album releases, births and deaths, epic concerts, and festivals.
Rock and Roll Unraveled.
Shelmerdine has made a painstaking effort to document pretty much every event that would prove significant in shaping popular music.
Rock and Roll Unraveled.
Purchase the book at www.rockandrollunraveled.com. Follow them at Twitter at R&R Unraveled, and look them up on Facebook at Rock and Roll Unraveled.
Rock and Roll Unraveled.
By author Derek Shelmerdine.
Available now. You're listening to the John Lebang Show.
It's hydroponic radio for your brain, man. Feel smarter yet?
And welcome back, folks. You know, I don't want to act like Donald Trump and the Republicans and all of Congress hasn't done diddly squat. They've done a little bit. We got to give them credit for one thing. Just recently, during the break there, they quietly passed a bill that allowed warrantless searches for homes. And only 1% of the people in Congress opposed it. And Donald Trump signed it into law. That didn't make the headlines. You notice that every time Donald Trump does something that is apparently bad to the mainstream media, apparently against what the people want, right? They're all over him. They're all over him. Yet he signs into law a warrantless search of homes bill, and not a peep out of the mainstream media. Zilch, zero. Because they don't care if your home is searched. You're probably a bad person. You didn't know that? Of course, then we have DACA, which you're going to revisit, and they're all mad about it. I mean, there's some people filing lawsuits against Donald Trump for repealing that. Saying, this is the best part, saying it's entirely unconstitutional to repeal that. It was unconstitutional to enact that. Yet it's, to some people who are happy with it, the people who want illegal immigration, not because they want to help out people from other countries, those poor, helpless people. It's not because of that. They want the cheap labor. If they can have cheap labor that's off the books, and then they can put them on welfare and put them on everything else, then that gives them more control over the electorate. You have more people who, if you give the vote to, will vote for the people who are giving them goodies. And when you're not from America and you don't know the Constitution and you don't know what freedom really is, you come here and you think freedom's a bunch of freebies from the government. And like in the terms of DACA, where you take away funding for children of illegal immigrants. These children were either here when they were really young, came across the border, whatever, really young, Maybe it's not their fault. But that's okay. Even if it's not their fault, their parents are at fault. And if your parents are shipped home, what are you supposed to keep the kid here? You can't separate the family. The kid's got to go with them. And there shouldn't be funding for people who are here technically illegally. Maybe they were brought in against their will or because they were too young to do anything about it. Maybe so. I understand that. I'm not trying to be cruel here. But they shouldn't get special funding when we've got Americans who are born here, who have generation upon generation of being here in their family history, and you're taking from them or you're not giving them the special benefits ahead of these other people who are getting them before our own people. It's the same idea with foreign aid. You hand out money to foreign countries, yet the people at home have to pay for it. And what does it get you? Oh, that's in our national security there, folks. National security. What is national security anymore? I don't even know. Can you explain it to me? Can anyone out there in the radio audience there explain to me what national security even is? Because I don't understand the term anymore. Because there's nothing about the national security that falls under national security. The borders are wide open. Now tell me, do you sleep with your doors wide open so anybody can come in at any time? If you see people jumping in your backyard and just hanging out, pitching a tent, do you just let them stay there? Do you go down the street because your neighbor has something you don't like? Or maybe your neighbor's throwing a party and you go and, take a drone over there and fire something at them? That's how you have to look at it with national security. There's nothing national about the security they are proposing. Unless you look at it in another term, because national security could mean like a security guard, could mean like a jail. Because that's how they treat the American public anyways. Like we're prisoners, like we're forced to do whatever they want. We now have a warrantless search bill that passes and signs into law by Donald Trump. Mr. Freedom, make America great again. Make America great again. Y'all gonna make America great again. We're gonna vote for Donald Trump again the second time around because he's making it so great that maybe he's not making it great. I don't know. You see, I'm confused about Donald Trump at times because the opposition to him is in such an enormous fashion. I mean, there's so much of it that you have to wonder if he's not for real, if he's not the real deal, But the opposition is so manufactured and fake that it could be just this giant opera being played out for us. And it's to keep us entertained, amused, occupied, distracted. I mean, let's not forget, I think it was a Simpsons episode where Donald Trump was president in it. Might be Family Guy, but I'm pretty sure it was a Simpsons episode. And he became president. And I know from studying history that these people, the occult leaders of the world, let us know things are coming well in advance. And if you're smart and if you're keen and if you're intellectually sound, you'll catch on to these and you'll prepare yourself. But if you're like the rest of the sheeple, and you're too busy with this, that, or the other thing, running around here and there with your head cut off left and right, you're never going to see these things coming. You're never going to see the signs that they're telling us. And when you go see a movie like The Lion King, you think that's a kid's movie. And you see none of the sexual innuendo, and you see none of the mystery school learnings or teachings in there. And we got on all this because I wanted to reiterate or make sure I was clear that Donald Trump and the Republicans in Congress and, the Democrats are helping him. I mean, now, switching subjects just a little bit, but it's all relevant. Here's Donald Trump working with the Democrats on something, on the budget, so they don't shut the government down. Because the do-nothing Republicans can't get anything done. The one thing they promised, Obamacare repealed. We're not even close to that. We're probably never, ever, ever going to see repeal on Obamacare. And you're going to be forced to pay into a system, forced to pay to a overpriced insurance company that's raking in the money. Because if they go bankrupt, guess who comes in to save them? The government. They're all safe. That's why they got on board with this program of Obamacare. They get in. If it doesn't work out, if it goes broke, collapses, they're still safe because the government's going to be there to bail them out, just like they did Wall Street. But they never bail you out, do they? They never bail you out. They'll help bail out a foreign country with foreign aid every year. Go look at what we just give to Egypt. That's not Israel. That's not Palestinians. That's not all these other countries that we're involved with. We take in over $2 trillion a year. And that's too much, right? That seems like too much. They should have enough to run the government with that. No, they don't. They run deficits. The debt clock continues to grow. And we're going to talk about some of this with our guest coming up here in the second half hour. Forgot to mention him, and I'm sorry about that, but Wayne S. Pierce will be joining us after this next break, which we'll be headed to in just a few more minutes here. And we're going to be talking about Korea and Trump and the do-nothing Republicans and DACA and who else, or who knows what else we're going to be talking about. Because there's a lot going on. But we're sitting here and we got the do-nothing Republicans getting nothing done except the things that add more surveillance, more government power, more government overreach onto us. We have to deal with it. Warrantless searches of homes. And it's okay now. It's law. And what are you going to do about it? You're going to just vote in another Republican? You're going to try Democrat? You're going to try third party? None of these people are working. If you really care, you'd run yourself. That's the way I look at it. I've thought about running myself, but I'm a radio guy. There's a lot they're going to just pick out and snip up and make little montages of to make me sound like some bigot, whatever, some idiot, some jerk, some scumbag, because that's what they do. We need people who don't have a public persona, they don't have a public image, don't have to go and run and do things not for the money, not for the fame. Because how does Nancy Pelosi go into office with hardly any money and now she's a millionaire? How do you do that? You're not supposed to profit off the government. Yet they do. Look at how many people went into office with nothing. Nothing. They barely got into office. Years later, they're millionaires. They got homes here, there, everywhere. I mean, it's a scam. It's not even the government, because the government is the document called the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and the Declaration of Independence. That's what makes up the government. Not these people up there, the charlatans, the schmendricks. These are political hacks all the way around. We talk about we need term limits. We can have term limits if you stop voting for the same schmendrick. Do something different right in your own name. Why don't you run if you want to make a change? Do a Kid Rock thing. Already we can see that here in the local media. They're getting down on Kid Rock because he might run and he's going to be of the viewpoint of, well, maybe Donald Trump, right? And nobody likes that except the people who voted for Trump, and there was enough there to elect him to be president. And here we have oppositions to not only Trump, but Kid Rock. I mean, if Kid Rock wants to go and try to be a politician, fine, Kid Rock, go and do it. I've noticed your career maybe he's tired of the rock and roll world. You get tired of it. I'm a musician. I know. Musicians are crazy. They're unreliable. So maybe he just wants to go and do something that he feels is in benefit to his country. Maybe he can do that. And I won't even vote for Kid Rock. I don't even like the guy. But come on. I'm already hearing the negative stuff out of the media. They're already trying to pull out this and that and everything on Kid Rock because they think he's going to run, and he's talking about running. I mean, give it a break. You know what? Instead of the negative things, dear media, instead of looking at the negative things, why don't you guys focus on only the positive things? Because you can't, right? Because they are your political enemy. And that tells you all you need to know. We've got the fifth column here in the United States. The media has its own political agenda. And it seems to be all together. They're pretty much all on the same side, outside of a few outlets here and there. All right, folks, we got to take a quick break. When we return, Wayne S. Pierce, radio talk show host of American Liberty Radio. After this.
Hey, you. Yeah, you. Listening there. Don't go anywhere. The John Lebang Show is going to be right back. Just ask the hillbilly.
That's right. Right after this.
What about me? Maybe next time.
Fans, do you need a video for your brand new song but don't have a lot of money? Then contact John Lebang. His reasonable rates, professional look, and fast turnarounds will help get that song off the ground. Contact him at jlebang.com.
Hey, man, it's at the bottom of the hour, man. Do you know where your kids are, man?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. And up next, we got a special guest for you, Wayne S. Pierce, and he has a daily podcast called American Liberty Radio. Welcome to the show, Wayne.
Hey, thanks, John, for having me on.
Now, we're going to talk about a lot of the current events that are happening in the news, and I thought we'd start off with our buddy up there in North Korea, Kim Ding Dong. What do you think's going on over there?
Oh, yeah, I like Kim Ding Dong. I like that. I call him Kim Jong Cheeseburger. Because, he's got a little weight problem, so we're not going to fat shame him. But he's just a complete idiot, because look at what he's got compared to what China and us and Russia has. I mean, just recently you heard about this as well. I'm assuming that they did an underground test of a hydrogen bomb that registered 6.3 on the Richter scale. So, what's he doing? He's insane.
So you think he's begging for war?
Oh, I'm sure he is. I mean, his dad was the same way. I mean, his dad would poked a bear, and Russia would go, no, we're not playing this game, and Kim Jong-il went, yeah, we are, and so there was that back and forth, and then of course he passed away, and his son took over, and still doing the same thing, except he wants to do it with America, and I really think that if things continue the way they are right now today, we're going to be in World War III. But if somebody, slaps that little, person around, I was going to say something, but if somebody just goes to him and shakes him up a little bit and says, no, we can't do this, hopefully that'll make him stop.
On another note, though, it does fit in with the American agenda Obama set in place when he was transferring the military front to the Asian region. So is this just another way of getting us into that? And maybe Kim Ding Dong is playing along for the fun of it. We are heavily militarized in that area. Not only South Korea, but also in the South China Sea and all that. We're just heavily militarized in that area. And I think this situation can be, it can escalate pretty quickly due to Kim Jong cheeseburgers, poking the United States eagle. And I think when and if, from what I've seen so far, when and if he then decides to fire upon, an actual piece of land, I think he's going to get everybody into a world war. Well, he barely missed Japan, wasn't it? What, a week ago, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
He just flinging them around. But see, this is the thing is, why are you doing this right now? Why? Yeah. Because Trump's in office? Is he trying to pick a fight directly with Trump, or is it something bigger? And why isn't China exerting their control over this guy?
Yeah, China is the key, person to come in and really squash whatever Kim Jong-un is doing, and I think Russia has a part in this as well. I think Russia's being the referee, hopefully, but I think speculating here, I think this whole situation is happening. I am going to speculate because Trump is president, and Trump doesn't put up with any bull crap from anybody. And so Kim Jong-un is just, the person, he's the little brother that is annoying, that is pushing all of your buttons. I think this Kim Jong-un is doing this because he feels, I don't know, he wants to tease people. And because he fired off that missile and we shot it down, I think, he's saying, oh, look, I've got toys now, and they're not yours, but I'm going to throw them at you. And, he's just, to me, from my personal perspective, from what I see, he's just playing with fire, and he's an idiot.
Yeah, and Russia doesn't mind that we're distracted.
No, no, they don't. We got worse things to deal with. We got the Northwest on fire. We got, earthquakes happening all over the place. But then we got this guy in North Korea trying to, instigate war. It's a mess. And somebody needs to go to this, Kim Jong cheeseburger and tell him to knock his crap off.
And you brought up Trump earlier. I've been thinking about him because nothing seems to be getting done that the people who elected him wanted. Whatever he ran on, it doesn't seem to be following suit. In fact, the people who are angry with him, we're just going to call them the socialists and the communists, their complaints, all their problems, the Antifa and all them, it's like nothing has changed under Trump, really. A few things, but nothing significant. None of their programs have been taken away. You know what I'm saying? The Obamacare is still there. The taxes are still there. The wall's not up. So is Trump really doing, is Trump just a figurehead now?
Well, I mean, logistically, nothing happens overnight, and I know this, but we also have as I like to call them, the Progressive Party, which is the Democratic Socialist and the Republican Fascist, in Congress, and of course, we've got them tying the hands of the president, although the president can't do much, but he can at least do things within his power to get things started. And I agree with you. I don't think anything has been started to a significant point. Things have been done, but a lot of rhetoric has been thrown out there as well. And I think that, when you look at this whole aspect of, he was voted on his campaign and people voted for him and all this. Yeah, he hasn't been in a year yet. So, let's see what happens after January 20th of 2018. And I really think on the other side of that is that we've got Congress, again, tying his hands. But on the B side of that, we've also got Congress playing and using this whole crisis with North Korea as a platform to profit from. The world leaders and all of that are playing this global chess game, and they're looking to, try to take the advantage, if you will, within the United States to literally collapse it. And that's what I see.
Yeah, it doesn't matter that Trump's in office. The agenda still looks like it's moving forward at full speed.
Oh yeah, double the speed now that Obama's out of office. I mean, as I like to say on my show, we've got another puppet in the suit in the Oval Office, and it's the people that literally run Washington D.C. that are doing the deeds and creating all of the chaos that we see.
And what do you make of all these constant changes going on with the administration and his underlings?
Yeah. There is Obama holdovers that need to go right today. They just need to go. But the current changes that, that have been going on since he was, sworn into office, I believe that those people were trying to infiltrate because of certain things that they've learned while in the Obama administration. But somebody within the inner circle of Trump saw this, and Trump's like, well, either you can quit or I can fire you, either way. And, so they start changing the guards, if you will, within the confines of what's going on in Washington, D.C. And I don't think the people that have left are going to go too far. I really don't. I think they're still going to, try to do something against Trump if they are against him, or try to, they're basically biding their time and waiting for the other shoe to drop, and then they'll have their positions back. But I could be wrong in that.
Yeah, they're just waiting out the Trump presidency, is what you're saying.
Yeah, pretty much the first term. I think that he will get through his first term. Second term, kind of, I don't know. So I don't know. We'll find out here in the next couple of years who's running.
I mean, they've already talked about President Pence and all that. Like the news media and the establishment are trying to almost force the thought patterns into that. Like, find a way to get rid of Trump somehow. And that's where I have a little balance problem, because I don't know if Trump's for real. But with so much opposition against the guy, you have to wonder if he's not for real.
Yeah, exactly. And the left and the media, the mainstream propaganda media, they create the narrative because of the script that they were given. And so, therefore, they're trying to drill all of that into the general public's mind to say, oh, yeah, we need to get, they lie, basically, is what they do. And so what happens is that narrative then becomes, in various ways, it's disseminated to the general public. And then it becomes the norm of people's thinking. So, therefore, they're thinking, oh, President Pence, he's going to, run or whatever. So the people, the left gets everybody's hopes up. And then when something happens, then these people are either let down or triumphant. And so that narrative is the key thing that the left uses to create all of this.
Yeah, and again, I'm torn between thinking that it couldn't be just one giant opera being played out for us, but on the other hand, I've never in my lifetime have seen this kind of opposition to one man in office. I mean, even Bush, who was hated by the left, they didn't start from the very beginning. It actually waited a little time before they actually really got on his back. This has been constant since the election results came in.
Yeah, it's been constant since the campaign, last year. And it's like, oh, we don't want Trump. And then Trump comes out and starts, getting into that campaign mode and saying what he said. And then the left's like, oops, I think we got a problem here, So it pushed that whole, I think, is Trump for real? I don't know. Does he have faults and flaws? Is he genuine? I don't know, but some of the things he does seems to reflect the fact that he has to do it for the people because that's what he was voted in to do. So that's just, placating to those types of people. But then he's behind the scenes going, okay, how can we do this without upsetting the apple cart too much? And all of that. Is he part of the is he part of the crew, let's say, of the globalist, or is he just one of those little tiny minions that they use? I don't know that for sure, but it certainly seems to me that he's got his priorities right, but he's also got flaws and faults, and that's what people are, the left themselves are concentrating on to try to get those, faults and flaws out there in the general public so everybody thinks he's not a good guy.
Sure, but he helps them along with the tweeting and all that.
Oh, yeah.
So, speaking of him, he just got rid of DACA. Yeah, he just rescinded it, and now what's going to happen to those children of these illegals that have been here for 10, 15, 20 years? I mean, what's going to happen to them? I have no idea. I want to see this thing play out and see what happens next week and see what happens with Homeland Security. But I don't was it a good idea in the first place that Obama put this into place? No, it wasn't. But when you look at Obama's agenda, he was being played, he was being used, he was being manipulated. So obviously he just had to go along to get along. And because the most of Congress, if you look at their agenda on immigration, they want open borders. They want everybody here, no matter where you come from. Yeah, just come in, and that right there is their first phase of collapsing the United States. Bring in, illegals, pay them half of what we're paying the Americans, and then the economy fails. And then give them programs on top of it to help them along.
Exactly.
Like Obamacare, and they're not even repealing Obamacare. And will they ever repeal Obamacare?
I doubt it. I think they'll reform it in some way, because that's what they're looking at now in Congress on the Republican side. But they'll reform it to I think, get rid of some of the overbearing mandates, but they're still going to have something there that's going to it's going to cost us. No matter what Congress does, when they put their finger in the pie, it turns rotten. No matter what they do, it's going to cost us.
Yeah, I preach that all the time on my show. I'm like, you can't allow Congress to pass things, because most of the time they get the budget wrong about it, for one, and for two, it never works out like it was supposed to, and it's always it's always something bad. It always turns out to be something bad.
Oh yeah, always.
So last thing I want to go over is the big possible government shutdown. We're talking about, Congress and that. I mean, are we going to reach that? Are they really going to pull the wool over our eyes again and say, hey, we just need to raise the debt level again? I mean, how many times do you remember? You're old enough now. You remember when we actually passed the budget for the whole year instead of these continuing resolutions to keep the government going because they're so broke?
Yeah, I remember that. I remember, I'm old enough to remember Ford and Carter and all of that and Reagan. And yeah, you're right. I mean, every year they had to, go through a budget and all this and say, this is what we're doing. And I think it began with the Clinton administration, where continuing resolutions were an option. And then, of course, when he got his second term, he started using some of those options. And then, of course, after that, it was pretty much normal. The government's broke. I'll just put it that way. There's no money. It's like they pull out their pockets and moths fly out. I mean, this is how bad it is. Where if you look at usdebtclock.org, you can see on paper, quote unquote, what our debt is. It's a hell of a lot more than that. But that's what it is, and and who do we owe this money to? We're never going to pay it off.
Yeah, you're either gonna sell everybody for that debt, basically all of our livelihood. That's and there's still not enough money on the planet to cover it all.
No.
So you're gonna end up with a giant system of just slaves to the rulers.
Yeah,
One
exactly,
day.
And that's what the Progressive Party, the Democratic Socialists and the Republican Fascists, that's what they want. And because they're working for the globalists that are actually controlling everything in Washington and all of the policies and all of that. And that's what they want. They want a complete collapse so that you and I can be enslaved to, the man, to the system, to whatever. And if you look around the United States in several regions, you can see the governors and some of the legislatures and state houses. They're looking at budget cuts on some very important, programs such as Medicaid and education and places like that. So what, if Washington, D.C. finally collapses and the economy goes into the toilet, what's going to happen to all of that? We're done if that's the case.
Wayne, so it's staggering. They've taken in like $2 trillion a year they take in.
Yeah.
And it's not even close to being enough. I mean, can you just imagine the number they take in? They thieve from all of us. And they can't pay their bills with that much money.
Yeah. Yeah. I know how they can save billions upon billions of dollars right now if they took the military from every single one of these countries except for our allies and bring all of that military back here to the United States, and then let the states take care of their military, take care of our military, of course, and then that would save billions of dollars. We need to look at other countries that owe us money and say, hey, you got 6 months to pay it off, or we're cutting you off. That's just the way it is.
On top of that, why not cut off all foreign aid?
That's another one I was going to mention. Yeah, cut it all off, because why not?
Welfare to the world, because that's the way it is.
Yeah, we are. We're the police of the world, and everybody wants the United States to come in and do all. And it's like, no. We cannot go to other countries, and as Steve Pachenik has said once, and a few other people in Washington, ex-officials up there in the military and CIA have said, they go into other countries and take over other countries. They collapse other countries on purpose to put their puppet governments in. And so we can't do that.
No, that's against the American principles.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. But we do it anyway. Why? Resources. Look at Saudi Arabia. Look at the Middle East. Look at some areas in the Ukraine. We're there to do one thing and one thing only. We're there to take the resources. And Russia's going, not in my backyard. We're negotiating with them right now. So, it's a mess. It really is a mess. And if we don't straighten some things out here domestically, and again, bring the military home, cover our borders, put the ships out in the seas and protect this country, we're done.
Our ships can't survive at sea. They're getting knocked out by tankers left and right.
Yeah. I saw that.
I mean, what's up with that?
What?
Isn't there radar or sonar? Isn't there a way to track other ships? And who's on the ship running the boat? I mean, come on.
Yeah. Remember the Exxon Valdez? I mean, come on. I mean, seriously. who's drunk at the wheel? You know, it's just, it doesn't make any sense. And really the conclusion, as far as what I see, if things continue the way they are, it's not going to look, number one, it's not going to look good for the United States. We're not going to become great again, as President Trump wanted. We're going to be looked upon as being as we are now, as the police state, but it's going to be worse. We're going to collapse if we don't get our act together.
Yep. Roman Empire Part 2.
Exactly.
All right, Wayne, well, I really appreciate you being on. Why don't you give everybody a little bit of contact information, tell them where they can find you.
You can find me and my podcasts over at AmericanLibertyRadio.weebly.com. It's AmericanLibertyRadio.weebly.com. And you can find me on American Liberty Radio Network on Facebook. And if you have any questions, ask. My email is AmericanLibertyRadio@USA.com.
Wayne, it was so great to have you on. I really appreciate it, and like to have you back in the future.
Hey, anytime. Just give me a call.
All right, that was Wayne S. Pierce.
Where do you think you're going?
The John LeBang Show will be right back.
So grab a beer and a smoke and sit your butt back down. Stay right here.
Powerful, epic music by Toothbox Roll. Life-changing lyrics come in every style, empowering humanity to finally unlock the chains of bondage. Experience the edgy side of positive music and rock your world today. From Primal to Divine, available now at sassyalternativemusic.com.
If you want to contact the John LeBang Show, feel free to send an email to jlebang@live.com. And if you're on Twitter, look him up at John LeBang. And don't forget to go to his Facebook page at The John LeBang Show. Banger. Now here's John.
All right, joining me here in the final segment is our good friend Shady.
Hello, everybody. Just having a beer here.
And what we're going to start doing here on the show is trying out new segments, and that's what we're going to do tonight. We're introducing a segment Shady came up with.
That's right, I came up with it, because I come up with all the good stuff.
So why don't you tell them about it?
Well, it's simple. We're going to pick a category. You out there in the listening world are going to answer it. We're going to put them on the website, and when all the categories that we go through are filled, you can go to the website, pick one of the two selections in each of the categories, and then the fifth person to submit their answers wins the weekly Drop It Like a Deuce prize.
But that's not all, is it, Shady?
In addition to winning a prize, you have all your answers used towards a future skit right here on the John LeBang Show. If you want to win a prize,
Are you sure this is a good idea?
if you want to have a good time,
I have a bad feeling about this.
no need to sterilize.
Oh no.
Our first category is food. Out in Naples, Florida, Cora, what say you?
I say give him a tuna fish sandwich!
How's the hurricane down there?
Okay, thanks for your call. Going out to Montreal, Quebec, category still is food.
Give me some chicken wings.
Okay, thanks for your call.
All right, now for the second category, we have characters.
All right, and that going back to Canada, this time to Ottawa. Gordy, what say you?
Hello, eh? How about some Nerd Eye, eh?
Okay, thanks for your call. Now over to England. Henry, what say you?
I'd like to hear Shady.
Okay, thanks for your call. One for you, Shady.
All right, John, we got to move on to the next category now. Locations.
For that, we're heading out to Chicago.
I put it in your airport, babies!
Okay, thanks for your call. Now we go out to Kentucky. Rusty, you're next. What location?
Y'all, I think it'd be in the bathroom, y'all.
Okay, thanks for your call.
All right, for our last category, we need a supporting character.
With that, we're heading out to Boston.
That's a stupid.
Okay, thanks for your call. And our final call goes out to Las Vegas, Nevada. Gorgeous, what say you?
I choose iDog.
Okay, thanks for your call.
That's it for the categories, John.
Okay, go to the website, ladies and gentlemen, for a chance to win one of our fabulous prizes. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen, for yet another 60 minutes of sonic vibrations known as The John Lebang Show. I'd like to thank all my affiliate stations. Don't forget to go to my website. That's www.jlebang.com. So until the vibrations of my vocal cords reach your ears again, this is John Lebang signing off from the Banger Studios.
We have